Well, hello, welcome back to my channel. It's Celisa coming to you from Beautifully Me and You. And today, you guys, I want to show you how to make this Grow with the Flow challenge. I was selling it in my Etsy store and I still will be selling them here and there sporadically. But I think for those who are crafty, you can make it because it's pretty simple. I'm not going to be showing how I made the graphics on Canva, but I am going to explain what the dimensions are so you can make your own design and create your own little mini flip through challenge book. And yeah, so if that sounds like something that interests you, seeing how to make the Grow with the Flow challenge or something similar that you create all on your own, then let's get right into it. All right, you guys, let's get started with the things that you'll need in order to make these little mini challenge binders. First things first, you need some printouts. I made these on Canva. So there's 3 types of printout involved in this particular type of challenge, okay? And I'll use the half sheets as an example. So the first one is the actual cover of the challenge, okay? So that's the Grow with the Flow challenge. That's the cover sheet. The second one is the little flower sheet that you actually mark off to denote that you've already fulfilled one of the envelopes. There's 15 little flowers on here. And again, I created these documents on Canva. And the last one is just an actual large flower, and it's 3.5 by 3 inches long so that I can put this into the actual envelope, okay? So it comes, when I print it, it is 6 flowers on a page like this. So you need 2 full sheets and a part of a third one to get your 15 envelopes. And then I print 6 of these on one sheet. And then I also print 6 of these on one sheet. Okay, so they're just printed on pieces of paper. I used to print these cover sheets on vellum before, but I feel like you can kind of see through it and I didn't like the look of that. So I now changed it to a solid white cover, okay? And white for the card as well. Okay, so you will need all of these 3 types of sheets that I have printed. And you can create your own. You guys, you don't have to do exactly what I do. There's like tons of options out here. This is just an example of how to make a little mini binder that you can stuff things into, okay? It doesn't have to be my exact same Grow with the Flow challenge. It's the concept of the little mini packing of a savings challenge with different varying amounts that is reusable, that is most of interest to people, right? Okay, so you need these sheets. I also use 5 and 3 ml laminate sheets. Now I use the 5 mLs for the covers and the flower sheets that tell how much you've actually done. Like this, I use 5 ml. I use 5 ml for the cover as well. And then for the flowers, I use 5 ml for the majority of the envelope, but I do the backing in 3 ml because it's really not all that important. So yeah, so I use both 5 ml and 3 ml paper. Mil, I don't know, whatever. And then I use a hole punch like this, and I'm only gonna be using 1/2 of it. So there's 2 prongs to make like 6, you know, to hole punch like A6 or personal size or whatever if you're making a full size envelope. But I'm only gonna be centering 1/2 of it, and I'll punch it just on 1/2. So it's only gonna have 3 holes, okay? So you need a hole punch. You need a paper cutter, which is right here. You need something to round the corners with. I've been using this Pro one and it captures all the little clippings back in the back, which this is really cool. I'll link this down in my Amazon storefront. And the hole punch and the laminate and the paper cutter, all of that will be linked down in my Amazon storefront. And then you also need these type binder rings. Now these I got on Amazon as well. They really just open up pretty simply like this. And you will then feed in the sheets and the covers and then close them up. If you want to put a rubber band in there, you can. I've not been doing that, but people do put hair ties within here so they can, you know, stretch it over and close them. So that's the basic concept, okay? This concept of these rings have been used already previously. I'm not the initiator of this. They put 2 of these rings side by side on regular size envelopes, which you can do as well, and have like a flip book for your envelopes. Or you can do it just on one little mini card and it will be on 1 ring, which is what I've been doing, okay? That's all the supplies pretty much that you need. So let me show you how I actually cut the flowers and how I laminate them. Oh, duh. And you need a laminator machine. Mine is over here to the side, but I will put it in view when it comes time to laminate, okay? All right, let's get started. First step in making these is you want to have your paper cutter. Okay, I just have a basic paper cutter. I'm going to put the laminate to the side for right now. I'm going to be using these half sheets to cut. So what I'm basically doing is just lining it up. I want it to be 3 inches wide and 3.5 long. Okay, so 3 by 3.5. The actual cards, once they're laminated, are 4 by 4. This I want to be 3 by 3.5. That will leave room for a 1/4 inch of laminate on each side of this card, and then still some laminate at the bottom, about 1 inch, so that we can actually punch holes and put it into the rings. Okay, so I hope that's all making sense. But so I'm going to turn it this way so I can measure. Let's see. So that would be 4 inches. So let's do 3. I think I'm gonna do 3.5. Let's do 3.5 by 3.5. So on the ends of this, I'm gonna take some off first of all, because I want my 3.5 inches to be right up flush up against the flowers. And I know that I made this 3.5, so it will look like this. This is 3.5 by 3.5, okay? So we're gonna do the other one. Take some off the edge first, and then make it by 3.5. And you really can make this any way you want it to. You know, this doesn't have to be exactly this type of challenge. So these are what we're going to laminate. Let me do these last 2. Take some off the edge and then turn it around so I can go right to the 3.5 inch mark right here and cut. And now I need to do 3.5 inches this way. So there's another one. Same thing here, go against the edge first. Go here to 3.5. I need to go a little bit more. And then 3.5 this way. All right, so these are all the little cards that will be laminated and hole punched so that you can actually color in the flowers as you go. So that's 4 books worth right there. Let me turn the laminator on so it can be warming up, and I'll show you guys that part in a minute. Let's go ahead and cut the covers as well. The covers are kind of the same thing. We want them to be 3.5. So I'm gonna go to 3.5. And I'm gonna cut off some of the words on the edge. And we want this to be 3.5. So there's 1.
So casually keep diving into concrete. So bittersweet.
So now we have 4 covers, 1, 2, 3, 4 covers, and 4 actual little cards to check off. Behind each one of these covers and cards, one of them isn't cut correctly because they all should all line up. So something went wrong on this one. Let me take some off this edge, 3.5. Okay. All right, so now they all line up. And in order for us to laminate them, only 4 can go per sheet. So I'll show you how I line that up. But first, let me cut some flowers, okay? So these are gonna have one of these cards, one of these in each little pack, and 15 little flowers. So you can stuff 15 little flower groups, okay? So all those are cut, that's for 4. I'm only gonna show you about 4 flowers worth, these 4. And then after that, you'll be able to see more in the time lapse that I'm gonna put in. So to get started with the flowers, I first cut right along the side because I made these 3.5 by 3.5. So I literally just cut off the border closest to the petal and go on the other side, cut off the border closest to the petal and do the same thing on this one. Overall, you need a large image that's about 3.5 inches long so you can add some border to make it about 4 by 4. That will probably be the best size for one of these challenges. but it doesn't have to be. Like I said, get creative. You know what I'm saying? This is the way that you want to do it. So that's one flower. And then I'm doing the same thing, pretty much cutting close to the edge, like this. That's 2. And let me do 2 more, 3. Now this particular flower, I did get it off Canva. If you guys hear that knocking noise, that's my laminator. All right, now that we have some things to laminate, I'm gonna move the cutter off the table. And I'm gonna be working first with the 5 ml paper, 5 mil, or however you say it. 5 mil, the thicker laminate sheets. Okay, these are the thick ones. So only 4 can go in at a time. And the reason for that is because you need the border on the sides and at the bottom to be able to hole punch. So I'm gonna laminate these 4 first, okay? These don't need a backing, so you literally just put them in. I put them in with enough space that I can have some room on each side to have laminate when I cut. And let me see if I can make this make sense. All right, so it looks like this. Now you need a border here so you can have a side trim of at least 1/4 inch. You need 1/4 inch on this side of this card. And you need about 1 inch this way. So you don't want to stack these up 6 on a page because you won't have 1 inch in between to have for the hole punch room. The same thing on this one. You need 1/4 inch on this side, 1/4 inch on this side. So this middle one has to share the space of at least 1/4 inch for each one of these cards. The same here with 1/4 inch on each side and at least 1 inch at the bottom. I hope that all makes sense. I had it on 3 mil, so we'll let it warm up a little longer and I'll show you guys feeding it through. You already know how to feed through a laminator, but I'll show you. Next, we want to set up the covers, which are the exact same. They're going in the 5 mil. And just the same, they need the borders on the side and the border at the bottom, so you just lay them in here. 4 per page. 2, 3, 4, like that. So that's the page of the covers. We're gonna lay that there, so when it warms up on 5 mils, it'll be ready. Now to do the flowers, you do need to do an extra step, which is you have to create the backing. So I opened the 5 mil page, okay? For the 3 mil, I was cutting it, but it just took so much extra effort. So now I just open a 3 mil page and split it like that. And put 1/2 to the side because we would use 1/2 on the other part, okay? Now what we're gonna do is put the shiny side facing up. And you want it to go all the way up to the top if you can of the sheet. This is where sometimes I turn it around like this and I'll open it. I'll pull the 3 ml sheet all the way up to the top, to the tip top, and then kind of shake it down. So now there's a 3 ml sheet in between this 5 ml. The 3 ml has the shiny side facing up because this is, the shiny side is what's gonna go against the back of these flowers. Now with these particular flowers, if you turn them this way, they're more long than they are wide. So this little bitty petal here denotes that that's the top of the envelope where the little petal is. And I had to figure that out on my own. But yeah, so you put this one in here with the little petal facing out. You're doing the same thing like you did on the covers. The only difference is you have the backing sheet to make the pocket. So you're doing that. You're doing this one. And see how this looks different? This one's much longer than this one, so it needs to be turned where that little petal faces up, okay? And that's the sheet that would go through for the flowers. So let me go ahead and run these through the laminator. All right, so here's the 1 page of flowers that went through on the 5 ml with the 3 ml backing. I'm gonna do the cover next. And I'm literally just running it through the laminator with the 5 ml or 5 mil turned on. So it's thick enough to heat up this type of paper. All right, so here's actually the covers all laminated. And the last thing we need to do is laminate the insert or the tracking sheet. While that last sheet is laminating, we will need the cutter. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring that back so I can show you guys how to cut these. For the flowers, remember we're gonna need a border here of about 1 inch. And this is the top of the next one, so we don't need anything here, but we do need space down here, okay? About 1 inch. So what I usually do is cut it close to the top of the second one to make sure that I have enough border here on the bottom. Let me just get these inserts. All right, so those are the inserts. They're all laminated as well, so we'll cut those in a minute. So first we'll work on the flowers. And I actually showed this in another part of a video, but I will go ahead and show it again. I then cut them in half, but I make sure that I leave at least 1/4 inch on the side when I'm cutting them, so there will be enough room for me to make them very specific, you know, and have border on each side. All right, so once I have them all cut like this, they're not necessarily even, it doesn't matter. We take one at a time. I usually turn it upside down, and that's just so that I can now line it up. Since I want 1/4 border on the side of this white card, I line it up at 3 3/4 is where I'm lining it up, and I cut off the excess on that side. Now I turn it around and put it right against the 4, which is how far I want it to be wide, and I cut on that side. And now there's a border of 1/4 inch on each side, okay? Then I put it inside the machine and I cut it open by just cutting the very tip of the white card. Can you see that? It's just the very tip. Let me show you what that looks like. That's how much I took off. And that actually created our pocket. So now we have a money pocket there. Next, I go to 4 inches because I want it to be 4 inches long as well. I go straight to 4 inches and I cut off the excess at the bottom. And now we have a 4 inch by 4 inch card with a pocket that just needs to be rounded on the corners, hole punched, and that's 1 of 15 for the challenge, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and do it again. So these two are exactly the same. The only difference is I need to run them through the laminator to kind of press them out because they're still bent. I do that step last, okay? But this one has the same pocket and everything. All ready to go with a little border on the side. Let me do these last two really quick. And they look like this once they're all put together. I'm gonna run them through the laminator now, just one by one to flatten them out. Then I'll hole punch and show you kind of how that's done. All right, now they're nice and flat. All right, there's 4 of them right here. We need 15 total. So let me grab some of the ones that I already made. I did a time lapse last night. I'll insert it here, but once you get done with that, you'll see that I already have 15 ready to go. Okay, you guys, I wanted to give you a close-up on the cuts. So let's see. I first cut it in half, just trying to cut it somewhere so that there's space on both sides of this card. Next, I line up the white card with 3 3/4. It's right here, Okay, so let me turn it over so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. I line it up like this and I cut the trim. I want this whole card across to be 4 inches, okay? If I cut 3 1/4, then that means that there'll be a 1/4 inch lip on this side. When I go on this side, I cut to 4. And now they both have equal distance on each side. Next, I trim open the envelope. So I just push it in until there's a little bit of white showing, and then just take off the top of the envelope like this. And then finally, I cut it to 4 inches from the other side. So it'll be exactly a 4-inch square. It's 4 inches across, and it's 4 inches across, and it's 4 inches down. And there is now our pocket to put our money in there. Okay, so that's how I'm cutting them. All right, now that you saw me making and cutting a gazillion of them, let's go ahead and do the cover cards, which we're doing pretty much the same way.
Told you so extra, but I know I'm the same, yeah. Love me in spite of my trauma. Give me what I need instead of the drama. Cause when it pop off, it's like, oh my, all good all day, but the night.
This is the cover, okay? So now we have everything we need to put it together. We have the cover, we have the tracker, and we have all 15 envelopes because I pulled some of the ones that I made last night. So let me line them up. Eight, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, 15 of these like this with the tracker and the cover. That is the challenge right there, okay? Now the only thing we need to do is hole punch every one of these pages and put them on the ring. But before we do that, let's go ahead and round out the edges. I'm gonna show you on the cover. This one has either small, medium, or large. It doesn't matter to me which one I use, but you basically put it in there and then hole punch down and it rounds the edge like this. See that? So you're gonna do that on all of these. That's the cover. I'm gonna go ahead and put a time lapse of me doing all of these in this one particular challenge. Oh my goodness. I thought I showed myself hole punching all of them. Let me show you again on another one. Let's see. I swore I had it. Okay, so now that we round the corners, let me just round the corners on this one. My camera wasn't even turned on. Okay, so in the hole punch, we're only gonna be using one of these brackets. I put it on A6 and I pulled the stopper a little bit out so that when I feed it in, let me see if I can show you guys. When I feed it in, there's equal amounts of laminate on both sides of the hole punch. That's what you're looking for, okay? If you have that, you can punch. And your holes look like this, okay? Perfectly centered in between the thing. And basically, I had all of these off of here and I put them all on one by one and it wasn't even filming, y'all. So you line up 15 of these cards with the hole punches, then one tracker with the same hole punch and one cover. Line it all up like this. Open up your rings and put them through. And close it up. And that is it. All right, so then you have your cover, your tracker, and then all of your envelopes, 15 flowers worth, which is the amount of flowers that are on this tracker. And what you basically do is you'll write down the amount to be saved, divide that by 15, and that will be each flower. Or you can randomly make each flower a different amount by just putting a different dollar amount on each one of these first pages. Now, if you use a vis-a-vis I don't know. Don't have me start talking about that marker again. But if you use a wet erase marker, then you can just actually wipe this off with a wet paper towel when you're done and restart the challenge over once you've completed it. Okay, it dries really quickly on laminate, and as long as you are not wetting it, it will stay in place. Okay, so if you, let's say you had each one of these different amounts, and so this first one was going to be $1, then you would just put $1, you open it and stuff your dollar down in here. This $1's extra wrinkled and getting on my nerves, but basically that's what you do. And then there it is. You have $1 in the first one, okay? So that's how you would stuff the challenge. You continue to go until you filled all of them in. If I stuffed $1 in that first challenge, I would color in a little flower here to denote that I already did one of the stuffings. And that means on the second time when it's time to stuff, I would flip past this first one and I would go to the second one and stuff whatever in this dollar amount. So yeah, that's the Grow with the Flow challenge. These little rings, I thought about offering these in my Etsy store just solo. So if you guys want to put these on your own envelopes that you create or on a binder, you can buy those. Let me know if that's something you're interested in. If it is, I can sell these in my store. But the actual Grow with the Flow challenge, I think last night I made maybe 12. Imagine 100 envelope challenge is what I just did, because 15 and have to go into each individual binder as well as a cover. And so there's basically 17 little sheets in each one. If I did that times 12, you can only imagine the amount of work. I put a time lapse so you guys can kind of see it. But yeah, what I do before I ship out is just make sure all of the envelopes are open and stable, because y'all, they have a nice border on each side, so they should be fine that way. But there are times when I accidentally flip the laminate the wrong way and it doesn't create the pocket. So I like to check each one of these before I actually ship it out. Yeah, and that's it. That's how you make the Grow with the Flow challenge. And you guys can make small mini challenges like this yourself with laminate or small envelopes. I don't know if they sell like mini envelopes that are hole punched, but look, they should, because this is like so compact and so cute and very easy to use. Think that's it for this video. If you guys are going to be making a Grow with the Flow challenge, let me know down below. I'm interested in seeing who's actually going to be creating one of these, because y'all, they're bomb. I would actually give you the graphic paper and stuff. I just didn't want people to like sell them with my design, but you can design your own. I mean, Canva's pretty easy to use, so you can always design your own. I pretty much gave you the specs of what you would need. So yeah. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, leave this one single emoji right here. Don't forget to let me know if you guys want me to offer these in my Etsy store, where you can buy them yourself individually without having to buy a pack on Amazon. It almost could be a beautiful ring, really, right? But anyway, yeah, let me know about those, and let me know if you're going to be making the Grow with the Flow challenge. And then, yeah, like the video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you're not already subscribed. I think that's it for today. I'm so glad that you were here with me to learn how to make the Grow with the Flow. I hope you guys are understanding that I can't make a gazillion of them because they're just so time consuming. But I'm doing the best that I can, and I appreciate you guys' patience with me releasing things to my shop in small spurts. All right, I think that's everything for today. You guys take care. Bye-bye.